Zambia's government has withdrawn retirement benefits and privileges from former President Edgar Lungu. This comes after he announced that he's getting out of retirement and joining active politics. Lungu lost the presidency to Hakainde Hichilema in 2021, after which he announced his retirement. I'm now joined by Arthur Sikopo, a Zambian journalist. Arthur, appreciate your time this evening. Now, give us some insights, will you, into the political landscape in Zambia leading up to Edgar Lungu's decision to return to active politics and his bid to lead the Patriotic Front.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And yes, it has been times of activity in the country, Zambia, after President Edgar Lungu announced that he has retired, that he has, gotten back to active politics after his retirement, after he retired in 2021, after he lost the elections to Hakainde Hichilema by about 1 million votes. Hakainde Hichilema got 2.8 million votes, and Hakainde Hichilema, Edgar Lungu got 1.8 million votes. So he announced his comeback to politics after factions were created in the party that he had led for 7 years, the Patriotic Front. So what happened was that one of the candidates, the presidential candidates for that particular party, Mao Sampa, the Patriotic Front had, I think, about 11 candidates that contest or that pushed in the nomination to contest as president of the particular of the Patriotic Front. But it has taken a long time. That is from 2021 till now. They haven't held elections to replace Edgar Lungu, who retired from active politics. But after twists and turns and all that, Mao Sampa, one of the candidates, organized his own gathering at the Mulungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka, where at first he claimed that this was just a meeting on Independence Day for the Patriotic Front, but it turned out to be an elective conference. So Mao Sampa was elected at that particular meeting to head the Patriotic Front. Though the Patriotic Front leadership were not informed and were not even aware of that particular meeting. So on that particular day, Mao Sampa was expelled from his party, the Patriotic Front, due to his alleged misconduct of holding that particular meeting. And of course, recently, he also stormed the party headquarters and breaking property at the party headquarters of the Patriotic Front. So that is what brought Edgar Lungu back to politics. He said that, I'm not going to sit and allow, the governing party, to mutilate, democracy in the country and to kill the party that I led for 7 years. So that is what brought Edgar Lungu back to politics. And today he is back in politics, and he's trying to fit in, but obviously things probably right about now may not be so favorable to him.
Yeah, in fact, Arthur, it brings us to the next question, and that's around the withdrawal of certain privileges that he had whilst he was retired and the former president. I mean, he remains the former president of Zambia, but obviously certain benefits have been withdrawn. Is this in line with the constitution of the country?
Yes, it is in line with the constitution of the country. So according to our constitution, once somebody who was president of the country retires from politics, then decides to come back, those privileges are removed or taken away from them. And some of those privileges include, security, also, housing or accommodation, salary, which is I think about 10% less over the incumbent president, and also other amenities such as being provided with workers at home and all that. So all those privileges are removed or are taken away from somebody who was president of the country but decides to go back to politics. So it is in line, of course, with the Zambian constitution that that should be taken away. And of course, Secretary of the Cabinet announced on the on the 30th of October, in a letter which was written to President Edgar Lungu, former President Edgar Lungu, to just notify him that, the state has withdrawn all those privileges to him. But of course, from what we saw, the former president, in fact, even said that, I even moved out from that house. The moment he just made that declaration that, I've come back to politics, then the following day he said, like, I even moved away. I didn't even sleep at that particular house. And they can take away whatever they want to take away. But for me, I want to just protect democracy in the country. And of course, from opposition leaders, others, most of them, in fact, have welcomed him and said, I think he's on the right track to just get back to politics.
So let's look at the challenges that face him. Now, one of those challenges, obviously, is the withdrawal of these privileges, the salary, the workers, and so on. And he seems to have adjusted to that. But what's obviously happened in the time that he hasn't been in politics is that President Hakainde Hichilema has done relatively well for the Zambian population. So aside from having garnered 1 million more votes than Edgar Lungu in the last election, there's been a lot of progress in Zambia. So let's talk about that landscape ahead of the next election, which is in 2 years. In fact, in 3 years' time, it's in 2026. Just how much work does Edgar Lungu have to do to regain the popularity, or certainly those votes that will see him in the highest office in the Zambian government?
Yes, so as rightly put, yes, Hakainde Hichilema is steadily, doing a lot for the country, and obviously can be noted in some of the progressive moves that he has taken, and some of the pronouncements and the actions that he has taken. Today, of course, we talk of free education from grade 1 up to grade 12, and of course it was just at a minimum fee during the time of Edgar Lungu. But of course, under Hakainde Hichilema, it is free education. So that is one of the scores that Hakainde Hichilema has scored. And also there is what we call as the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. So this is money which is given to all the 156 constituencies in the country. So he has done quite well, and he has continued to sort of like increase that particular fund to all these constituencies each year. So on those particular matters, he has scored, yes, quite right. And of course, in terms of the employment of teachers and healthcare workers and all, yes, on that particular score, on that particular aspect, of course, he has scored. And of course, the argument could be that yes, Hakainde Hichilema has managed to employ these people, but of course, if at all health centers were not there, if at all schools were not built by the administration of Edgar Lungu, these people wouldn't have been employed this particular time and all that. So all those are some of the concerns that the politics that is coming up, and the concerns that are coming out from people and all. But Hakainde Hichilema has done quite well. But of course, it will currently the country is facing high cost of of living. Goods and services are getting expensive by the day, and of course that is where some people remember Edgar Lungu and what he did for this country. The cost of fuel in the country, has gone quite high. Just the cost of living has gone quite high. A mini meal which was being bought at about 150 kwacha, the time that Edgar Lungu was leaving presidency. Today it is being bought double that amount. That is about 300 kwacha and 330 kwacha and all that. So some people would, say that, I think we were better off the time that we had Edgar Lungu in power. So Edgar Lungu could have a lot of work to do, but of course, if some of these scenarios continue, like the high cost of living and all, he would probably have less work to do, ahead of 2026. That is Edgar Lungu to do. So for Hakainde Hichilema, it might be tough for him if at all this particular scenario or status quo remains as such, because like in terms of the high cost of living and all. So it is a 50-50 situation for both leaders, Hakainde Hichilema and of course Edgar Lungu. So Edgar Lungu could make strides and all, if at all the current status, of high cost of living and all continues. But of course, if Hakainde Hichilema, deals with this high cost of living and all, probably, he is likely to retain, 2026 elections.
Now, Arthur, my final question is that the ticket that President Hichilema came on was largely the young people. He was very, very popular with the young people, and those young people were looking for jobs, unemployed youth in Zambia, youngsters going to university or coming out of school and looking for employment, and there were many promises around that. Has that been achieved? Is he likely to retain this voting constituency?
For the youths, from my observation, and I can tell you that Hakainde Hichilema is losing the youths right about now. And this is largely due to some of the issues that, he promised, the youths in the country. Many of them, of course, still remain unemployed. Of course, they employed, healthcare workers, they were employed, teachers and all that. But many youths still remain unemployed. Many youths still lack of, something to do. Recently, we had young people that wanted to protest in Lusaka, and they were stopped by police. They were barred by police, and I was there to cover that particular event. They were stopped, and they were meant to, stay in this building, and police, surrounded that particular building. Those youths wanted to protest and just make it known to President Hakainde Hichilema that things are not okay in the country, and you are losing the youths and all that. But police, barricaded them, surrounded the place where they were and all that. So it was for the youths. I would say the youths, Hakainde Hichilema is losing the youths right about now, unless something obviously maybe comes up and he brings up something good for the youths. Most youths, if most youths are maybe are employed and all that, if all or most of those promises that he promised the country and most especially to the youths are fulfilled, that is when obviously Hakainde Hichilema can have that foot on the youths. But for now, I think he could be losing the youths in the country because of some of those things that have not been fulfilled, and youths lacking employment and all that.
Arthur, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for speaking to us.